I'm at the park today with meteorologist Belinda Jensen in Chandler, and we are going to learn a little bit about weather, do some experiments, but you're not only a meteorologist, you are now an author, right?
I am, yeah. The author part is kind of new. The meteorology part is about 25 years old, so.
I always depend on you to let me know if it's going to be sunny or rainy.
Yeah, well, we're lucky because it was raining like a couple of hours ago, and now it's breezy, so it's a beautiful day here in the park.
It's so great. So tell me what inspired you to write the books. They're adorable. How did this all come to be?
I've been talking to students, to kids, for my whole career, starting in Salt Lake City and Minneapolis for the last 23 years. When I spoke to kids, there were a few stories that really stood out. There was one story about Joe the raindrop becoming a hailstone, and I would talk about how Joe the raindrop went on this roller coaster up in these high towering cumulus clouds and became a hailstone, and it just stuck. And it was so funny. My husband and I were at dinner, and here comes this 20-year-old gentleman who was serving us, and he came over. He's like, "I just want to let you know that I still remember Joe the raindrop becoming a hailstone." I'm like, "How do you remember this?" So these stories stuck. So after years and years of telling the stories that really tell the tale of weather, I decided to write them down. And so it ended up being these 6 books, which is fun. These are all stories that really the kids liked. The main character is Belle the Weather Girl. She's 8. And then Dylan is her cousin. And then Stormy is her dog, this is Stormy right here, a Bernese Mountain Dog. And so what I have found in my career of being a meteorologist is that I have tons and tons of parents call me, and they're one of 2 things. Their child is enthralled by the weather and will not put the radar down, and they want to know more, or they're very afraid. They're anxious. Every time, you get the dark clouds, you hear the thunder, they really do freak out. So these books are twofold. Any kid that likes the weather will love the books, but other kids who are anxious about the weather, once they understand it, they're not so anxious. And I have a daughter who is your age, and she is very afraid of the weather too. So I was living and breathing it at home, and I have a dog that's a lot bigger than this dog named Keena. This is Stormy. And the dog is really afraid too. So that's why I put the dog in the books, because a lot of kids have dogs that are afraid too, and that makes them even anxious. There's a line in the book is that once you understand it, it will not nearly be as fearful or scary.
Right.
And that's the nuts and bolts of weather, really explain to kids that if you can read the clues in the clouds, you know what the weather is going to be. And so once you understand the clues, then you'll have more information.
Yep.
And then you won't nearly be afraid.
You're not afraid of weather, right? So do you have a couple questions sort of that you want to ask Belinda?
How does lightning, what makes it happen?
That's funny you asked that. This is probably my most popular book. This is a thunderstorm book. And this book happens at night, and they're having a sleepover because of course there's always thunderstorms at night, right? To freak kids out in the summertime. And so this book explains exactly what you're asking. So the bottom line is, when lightning comes down from these towering cumulus clouds, because there's lots of electricity in the clouds, the lightning actually is hotter than the surface of the sun. Did you know that?
I think I knew that.
So it's over 56,000 degrees. Of course, the thermometers never made it through, testing it. But basically, so the lightning comes down, and the air around the lightning can't handle heating up so fast. So the air around that really hot lightning bolt actually separates. And then when the lightning bolt goes away, because it's just a split second, the invisible air molecules come back together. And the sound of the moving air is actually what makes thunder. So lightning and thunder happen at the same time, but light moves 5 times faster than sound. So you see the lightning and then you hear the thunder. And in this book, you actually, using a little game called the Thunder Count game, you actually figure out
how many miles away
it is and if it's coming closer or moving away. So if you want to, think, how does moving air make sound, right? So if you take a paper bag and you blow it up, so now if we pop this, we're going to hear the breaking of the bag, right? Yeah. But it's actually going to be a lot louder than that. You want to pop this for me? So put your hands together and just go boom like that. Oh, you almost got it. Let's do one more time. So the air that's coming out of this bag is actually going to make a lot of noise.
Yeah, I failed.
Did you? Oh, you did pop the bag. Yeah. So if you pop this bag really loud, it goes boom, right?
Yeah, it goes.
Right. And the air coming out of the bag actually makes noise. So the moving air makes a lot of noise. So that's really what thunder and lightning is all about. But the line that you should remember is, when thunder roars, go indoors. And you have to remember that, because if, nothing to fool around with lightning being hotter than the surface of the sun. So you want to make sure when you hear it, even if it's like this and it's nice, but you hear some rumbling thunder, you need to head indoors.
Inside?
Yep, because it can, it can really mess you up.
That is good advice. We are going to take a break, and then after we come back, do some fun experiments.
Yeah, we're going to make a cloud.
Oh,
How about that?
make a cloud?
Yeah.
All right, I can't wait. We are back, and we are now going to do an experiment, which I'm really excited about because I got a little teaser from Belinda, and I'm curious to see how this is going to work out. Chandler, what do you think? Are you curious to see?
Make a cloud workshop.
Don't give it away, spoiler alert. All right, so what do you have for us today?
Well, okay, so, all weather has ingredients, and so clouds have ingredients. So what do you think the ingredients are in a cloud? If you look at the cloud, what do you think's in the cloud?
Is it steamy sort of thing?
Yeah, it's not cotton balls. How about that? I get cotton balls, I get whipping cream, shaving cream. No. So basically, a cloud is first made out of air. So in this jar, we're going to make a cloud in this jar, by the way. And you can do this at home, but you have to have a parent with you. And you'll understand why you need a parent with you. So in the jar is air, right? Nothing else.
Appears to be air. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the air is probably the same temperature of the air that we have out here. So the clouds are made out of, as you were saying, steam, which is moisture.
Yeah.
Okay. So you need water. Clouds are made out of water, but it's not just any water. So what we need to get the air in this jar to rise, what kind of water do you think we need to put in this jar? What kind of air rises? Cold air or hot air?
Hot.
Right. Hot air rises. We're going to make the air in this jar hot. So I've got some really, really hot water, and the hotter the better, everyone. So we're going to...
That's one reason you need a parent.
That's one of the main reasons you need a parent. So I've got really, really hot. So we're going to put this hot water in here. And now the air in there is starting to rise because it's
Which you
heating
can
it up.
see.
Yep, you
Yeah.
can see condensation. So now we're going to block that with some ice. So now what's happening in this jar is a little water cycle. So the air that's touching the water is heating up, it's rising, it's hitting the ice, it's cooling, it's falling.
Evaporation, condensation, precipitation.
That's exactly right. The water cycle is going on in this jar. So we've got a little bit of a water cycle going on. So you can kind of see the condensation on the side, but we don't have a cloud just yet, because the last ingredient that makes a cloud is that every day the sun hits the earth, it heats up the air rises, and as it rises, if there's enough moisture in it, when it gets cooler up in the atmosphere, it will condense, but it needs something to glob onto. It needs something to grab onto. So it needs dust, it needs pollen, it needs pollution sometimes, it needs something to glob onto. So since we don't have anything in here to glob onto, we're gonna actually make some dust by just making some soot from smoke. This is the other reason you need a parent. So we're gonna put that in there. We're gonna actually put one, oh, I won't, no, Stormy will not get hurt, promise. Well, okay, so now we just put a bunch of smoke in that jar. And what the smoke will do is the smoke is actually going to serve as the little thing that's gonna let the water vapor is still going around in the side. It's gonna glob onto the soot. You see it kind of starting to form? So we'll use this black piece of paper so you can see it. Okay, so do you want to get up and walk over there so you can actually see it? And then I will go ahead and we'll just wait a few more seconds. And here is your Happy House cloud. Do you see it coming out?
That is
So this
really
isn't the
cool.
smoke that we put in there, because that's gone, but the soot actually served as the little
The globby.
globby onto. So that's how you make a cloud in a jar.
That sounds like an appetizer, globby onto.
Right, globby onto. So that's just one of the things that really is something that kids can learn and understand the ingredients. And tornadoes have ingredients, hail has ingredients, everything does. Snow, blizzards.
Yep.
So if you learn about those, it tends to help the kids.
I love the way you talk about ingredients, because when you compare it to like cooking at home, there's a lot of things that kids really love that have ingredients. So just thinking about that, and then also that whole clues in the clouds is really key, I think, too, to helping kids feel more in control. I mean, they're not in control, but being able to be in control of managing what they should do with weather.
Exactly, because once they see something that's ominous, then they actually know, okay, this is time we need to pay attention. Otherwise, like today, no problem today. No problem.
So how do people find your books?
The books are on belletheweathergirl.com, and they're also on Amazon, and they're at Creative Kid Stuff, and they're at bookstores all over the country.
One thing that really adds credibility to these books, they're great, but they were first introduced into the education market. So this is how people are actually educating our kids about weather. And I think that having these at home is just a really great extension of that.
It's right, they're actually all curriculum books. And so the one book, which is The Clues in the Clouds, has all the curriculum that kids learn in 2nd grade. And then the other 5 books just add on to that. So they're great for 4-year-olds to 11-year-olds and beyond, but lots of good information in all the books.
And the experiments just really helping parents make things. I think a lot of times as parents we want to do things to help our kids, but we don't know where to start. So just spoon feeding me that, I really appreciate it.
And they're really simple and not messy, because I'm a mom too, so I know that you don't want to go to the store and spend hundreds of dollars to do an experiment.
No.
It's something you have around the house.
Yes, this was so much fun. Chandler, did you have a good time? Yeah. Did you have a quick question? One quick one for the end or no?
Is it going to rain today or something like that, maybe?
Does
You probably know.
Can you predict the future?
No, but I can sort of predict the next 7 days in weather. I'm really good for the next 4 days. Beyond that, it's like, So.
All right, well, thanks for admitting that.
Yeah, of course.
All right, this was lots of fun, and I feel more educated. I think this one knew more than I did about the weather.
I think he does too.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. Thank you so much for having me as well.